Superboy, the Man of Tomorrow issue 2 finds Dominator X told that while the Dragoi specimens were taken, Superboy and the Cosmoteers took down several of their experiments. The Dominator finds that a shame since the Kund won't be happy, but they need to get back to their lab since the heroes will be following them soon. His men tell him that the Cosmoteers are actually fighting the Kryptonian, making their leader think that maybe if his experiments couldn't kill Superboy, they can. The Cosmoteers continue to battle Superboy down on Dragoi, blasting him with energy beams before another batters him around the battlefield. Superboy tries to tell them who he is, hoping they've heard of Superman, Supergirl, or even Krypto, but the people demand he be killed, thinking that he's just another creation of the Dominators come to hurt them. Connor learns that Clark's ways aren't going to work here as a giant worm attacks. Connor asks the Cosmoteers to help with the leftover experiment as it tries to eat the people below, but Superboy flies into its maw, holding its jaws open. The Cosmoteer Pyrrha uses her size manipulation powers to grow to the size of the worm and grab it, telling her leader Trav that trying to kill the monster is easier said than done, asking Rotozar about the people. The speedster doesn't know about them and doesn't really care about them, and Superboy speeds out of the creature's mouth, telling the team that they can't just murder everything that disagrees with them, wanting to knock the monster out instead. Trav knows that they could do that, or they could end the threat permanently. He blasts the monster, killing it for good this time as the creature falls on the ground and crushes a group of the people. Not that Trav cares though, calling them casualties of war. The people though weren't crushed as Superboy grabbed the worm before it hit the ground, saving the people as he tosses the worm aside, deciding that it's time the Cosmoteers and he have a talk. Trav wants to give Superboy a gift, throwing an inhibitor collar on him and knocking him out as the cheers of the people sound out, believing that the Cosmoteers have saved them from the Dominator threat. Pyrrha asks what they will do with Superboy since what if he was telling the truth about who he was, but Trav wants to put him in a cell on the ship until they find out the truth. Superboy awakens in a cell on the Ripper, the Cosmoteer's ship, and he tries to call for Helix. The teleportation bracelet he took from the fortress isn't working thanks to the power inhibitor of the cell. Connor guesses that he's alone in this and will have to find a way out all by himself as the team come by to see him, telling Connor that they looked through some stolen Dominator files and found Superboy's story checks out, but they aren't really friendly to strangers. Connor learns that the Cosmoteers are very much like him, as Trav reveals that they were grown in a lab, combining Daxamite, Imaskian, and Zardian DNA to make him, Pyrrha, and Rotor. The three kids were bred for war, but they were also disruptive and rebelled, using their powers to flee the Dominators, battling Dominator X and stopping his experiments all over the universe. Superboy respects what they do, but they have a funny way of being heroes, since where he's from, heroes don't kill. Connor understands that Trav is mad about how they were made and he understands more than most, but they cannot go in guns blazing since people will get hurt. Trav refuses to change his ways since they are close to finishing off Dominator X and his creations. They seal Connor back in his cell as the hero tells them not to become the monsters they swore to stop, and they need to talk this out before they storm the castle. Trav reveals it's too late though, as they have already arrived at Dominator X's research lab. The ship comes under fire from the base as the Cosmoteers board the lab, getting ready to free some hostages from their cryopods. Superboy tries to free himself from his inhibitor collar, knowing that Tim would have a way to pop it off his belt, and even Bart would have read 1,000,000 books in an instant and come up with a technical way to get it off. He reminds himself that he's the only one there as he finds that the force shield he's in electrocutes things, so he puts the edge of the collar against it, short-circuiting it. The Cosmoteers meanwhile free the hostages, ferrying them towards their ship when Trav is grabbed by a monstrous super lizard. Trav frees himself, blasting it with his cannon and burning its arm off, but all it seems to do is piss the monster off, causing it to regrow its limbs. Trav realizes that he's vastly outgunned as Dominator X tells the Kun General Brutak that his soldiers will be delayed thanks to the Cosmoteers. Brutak is not pleased, thinking the Dominator is just making excuses. The alien claims to be on the way to the next lab to continue their work, asking if the General would like an exclusive discount on his next order. Superboy meanwhile frees himself from the collar, speeding out of the cell and through the ship, telling himself that no matter what the Cosmoteers are doing, this isn't how how you save lives, and he's itching to show them what the House of L has to offer. The lizard monster rips Trav's robot arm off as Pyrrha comes to deal with it, growing in size and powering up her fists, but the monster proclaims that it's time for her to die, uppercutting her in the face and knocking her out. Connor arrives and hits it with his heat vision, melting part of its head as he smashes it in the face, telling the Cosmoteers that if they want to live through this, they must listen to him since they cannot kill this monster, but they can put him on ice. He asks if they can weaken him so the team combine their powers, smashing the monster back and assaulting him with their lasers until it's backed into a cryopod. Superboy activates the pod, putting the monster into a deep cold sleep as he tells the team that that wasn't too hard. Trav doesn't want to celebrate yet as the Khund have arrived outside the lab. General Brutak proclaims that no one will make a fool of the Khunds, calling for the bones of the heroes to be mounted on his command chair as a reminder of all those who stand in their way. Trav thinks that Connor is rethinking this whole no-kill rule right now, making Connor finally snap and tell Trav that he's had enough of him since he sees keeping people alive as a weakness, but on Earth, killing is the easy way out and makes you look weak. He tells the leader that if he wants to be better than everyone else, then he has to do better than everyone else. Pyrrha tells them all to calm down, wanting to escape before they kill each other. The team try and escape in their ship but are cornered by the Khund fleet, unable to fight back. Connor asks himself what would Superman do, but Clark isn't there, so he needs to think what would Connor Kent do, and it's infinitely cooler. Connor tells Trav that if they can't evade without taking a hit, he wants to make a bet that he knows how they can. Brutak watches as the Cosmoteer ship suddenly is shielded by something, demanding to know what it is, as Superboy has taken to the hull of the Ripper, using his tactile telekinesis to both shield the ship and act as a battering ram against the Khund fleet.